Hey sports fans, and welcome to Sports Talking with Cam. I'm your host Cameron Gooseby, and today I will be talking about my Sunday Night Football Week 5 predictions between the 1-3 Minnesota Vikings versus the undefeated 4-0 Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Vikings' recent game, they won 31-23 versus the Houston Texans. They scored 31 points on offense and literally gave up 23 points on defense against this weakened Texans team. Literally, this Texans team, they lost. Bill O'Brien, he got rid of their star wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. And literally, you're not winning football games if you're giving up 23 points per game against a weakened offense. Now, luckily, this offense for the Vikings, they finally woke up and scored 31 points against that defense. And literally, that's what I think would help them win this game. Now, notable players I think you guys should watch out for tonight's game. You have Justin Jefferson, a solid wide receiver who is a rookie. And literally, he's a speedster. I think he can be a really good wide receiver in years to come in this National Football League. You also have Adam Thielen, another solid wide receiver. No, not solid, but elite wide receiver who can do just about anything on the football field. He can catch deep balls down the middle. He can rack up touchdowns. And Adam Thielen, I mean, he's a handful when it comes to DBs sticking him. Now, tight ends, you got Kyle Rudolph. He's a possessional threat down the field. He can catch deep passes, can catch balls in the end zone. And that was proven last year against the New Orleans Saints when he caught that game-winning touchdown pass from Kirk Cousins in the end zone. And speaking of Kirk Cousins, he's not a bad quarterback by any means, but he's not elite. He's solid, but he's not elite. Kirk Cousins, although despite being a decent QB, he's proven to be a bit turnover prone this season. He's thrown 6 interceptions, and he's really struggled this season. He really hasn't been putting points on the board, and that's what really caused him, that's what I think really caused the Vikings to lose a lot of games, because he was having a lot of turnovers down the field. Now, their offensive line is ranking near the bottom third in the league at 19th, so there is a little bit of concern of can they protect Kirk Cousins, and you know how Kirk Cousins is not a scrambler, but with Kirk Cousins, he's more of a pocket passer. So that offensive line, they're really going to have to improve these for these number of weeks yet to come. And when you're ranked 19th, or if you're ranked near the bottom third of the league as far as offensive line ranking, then that means your offensive line is not even good at all. And this is what is proving right now. Now, the overall offensive ranking for the Vikings is 22nd, so it's not a lot of production coming from this offensive line right now. They're simply not putting up a lot of points on the board, despite having some talent on that offensive side of the football. And literally, I think they could easily be 3-1 right now, considering. I would still give them the loss to Green Bay, but they could easily be 3-1 or just 500 right now. They shouldn't be 1-3. But going to the defense, the Vikings have some Pro Bowl caliber defensive players down the field. You got Harrison Smith who can literally hit people, and cause fumbles. And although he doesn't get interceptions, if he gets interceptions, he can get pass breakups, and literally he can change the outcome of the game for any side of from any side of any team. You also have Eric Kendricks, who's a very good linebacker, someone who can pick off passes, sack the quarterback, and literally just change outcomes for the games on opposing offensive side of the ball. You also have Danielle Hunter, who can pass rush and he can stop the run. You also have Michael Pierce, who can pass rush and stop the run, so their defensive line is solid. And you also have Anthony Harris, another solid safety alongside Harrison Smith, who can pick off passes. But notable weaknesses for them are the cornerbacks. Their cornerbacks, they're getting dusted by a lot of these wide receivers. You clearly saw what happened in Green Bay. They gave up 41 points, and Rodgers just simply put on a show in Green Bay. Like, that the cornerbacks were simply not playing to win against those wide receivers in Green Bay. And this is why this defense is ranked 29th in the league. So when you're telling me that you're ranked in the bottom third on both sides of the ball, you're not a playoff caliber team thus far. And although they're only 1-3 and they can improve this, if they keep on playing like this, then they're not going to the playoffs. Like, no, they're going to be a lottery team in the future. But as far as what the cornerbacks goes, I think what I suggest, I believe they need to upgrade the cornerbacks like right after this season. So in the offseason, upgrade the cornerbacks. If they upgrade the cornerbacks, I think they could be a better defense. And literally, I think they can win more games if their cornerbacks do not get dusted off by their wide receivers on the other side of the field. It's just simply not going to work. Now, Seahawks, their recent game was a 31-23 victory over the Dolphins. They scored 31 points against that Dolphins defense, and Russell Wilson looked amazing out there. He was setting up his teammates down the field, and that offense, they were just star-studded. But the defense, they gave up 23 points against a tanking Dolphins offense. So this offense for the Dolphins, they're not that good. And to give up 23 points, and for the Seahawks defense to give up 23 points against a tanking offense, that's simply not acceptable. But moving on to notable players, you have Russell Wilson, someone who's extremely calculated, someone who's really matured, like as a football player as a whole during his entire stretch in the NFL. Like, he gets better and better every year. Like, and even after the Super Bowl, he got better and better and better. And literally, also with Russell Wilson, he's a mobile quarterback. Now, although he doesn't run the ball as often as he did in his earlier years, he can still get a first down every now and then. So Russell Wilson, he's really solid at running the football. You also have Chris Carson at running back. He's someone that if you let loose, then he's going to score. Because Chris Carson, he's a solid running back. He can power through, he can run inside and he can run outside. Like, he's an all-around running back. He's really solid. You also have DK Metcalf, who's a second-year wide receiver, but a really good wide receiver. He can catch deep balls down the middle of the field. And he's also a bit of a speedster for a wide receiver. You also have Tyler Lockett, who's a speedster for the wide receiver, can do pretty much everything on the football field when he's a wide receiver. You also have Greg Olsen, who's a possessional threat in the red zone. He's just like Rudolph. He's just like Rudolph of the Vikings, and literally, Greg Olsen, he's a Hall of Famer. I think like right after he retires, he's instantly going to the Hall of Fame because, like, really, he's become one of the best tight ends in the league during these past few years, and I think he's going to get the nod for being a Hall of Famer. Now, the offensive line, they ranked 20th in Week 5, so they're also in the bottom third of the league, and offensively, as a whole, they're ranked third best despite having the bad O-line, because that offensive line, they have a bad center, they have a bad right guard, and they have a bad right tackle. So literally the entire right side of the field is literally helpless for Russell Wilson. And I don't understand how they're ranked third best in the league. Like, offensively, they're ranked third best in the league, but 20th best as far as offensive line goes. Like, I just really don't understand that. But when you think of it, literally what they're doing it's simply they're putting up points. Russell Wilson is not turning the ball over, and literally that's what's helping them win these football games. And that is why they're 4-0 right now. Now on the defensive side of the ball, you got Bobby Wagner, someone who can really change the game in all forms. He could pick off a pass, he can force a fumble, he can sack the quarterback, and he can really come up the clutch in the fourth quarter. You got Shaquille Griffin, who's a solid cornerback. He can play man defense, and he can play zone. So he's a bit of a hybrid when it comes to being a cornerback. You also have Jaron Reed, who's a solid defensive tackle. He's not elite, but as far as defensive line goes, their defensive line, they have a lack of a pass rush, and I think this is what's going to cost them this season if they do not get a better defensive line. And then you got Jamal Adams. He's basically just like Harrison Smith. He doesn't pick off a lot of passes, but he's someone who wreaks havoc down the field. So if you're near his way, I recommend you get out of his way. I recommend you try and run away from him, because if he gets you, he's gonna hurt you. Like literally, Jamal Adams, he forces fumbles and he forces turnovers down the field when needed. But a huge hole, this defense is ranked last, and yet somehow they're 4-0. This defense is ranked last. Like, let me tell you, they're giving up 477 yards per game. 477. So that is the last. And that is nowhere near the Legion of Boom of what we've seen years ago. And when I'm talking about the Legion of Boom, they had talented players on the defensive line, talented players on the linebackers, cornerbacks, and safeties. Like, that defense, they were not going to give up 477 yards per game. Like, that was not going to happen. And yet, this defense, they do. So, this 4-0 record, like I said, that's because of the offensive side for the Seattle Seahawks. That is definitely not because of the defensive side of the Seattle Seahawks. Like, they're not even forcing turnovers down the field. Like, it's unacceptable. And that's what I think is what's going to cause them. That's what I think is what's going to cause them at the end. Like, you're not winning football games and you're ranked last in the league. No. And you're not even going to the playoffs if you're ranked last in the league. So, Seattle, enjoy this while you can. Because if this defense keep on being ranked last in the league, they're going to get exposed in the playoffs. And that's if they make the playoffs. Now, concluding my video. Well, no, not even concluding my video. My prediction. Now, although these two teams are both in the bottom rank as far as defenses, I would give the edge to Seattle. All simply because they are ranked number 1. They're ranked number 3 in the league as far as offense. So that's the only reason why I'm going to give them the edge. And my final score prediction, I think Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, they're going to win by a score of 31-24. I think and the reason why they're going to win 31-24 is simply because of their offense. Like, no one has proven to shut down their offense yet. And although the Vikings have the talent to do it, they have, their defense is ice cold right now. Like, they're not making big plays down the field. And plus they're 1-3. So, like, I don't know if I would trust this Vikings defense to try and put that 4-game winning streak at an end. Now, concluding this video, I would like for you guys to leave a like, leave a comment. Yeah, leave a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys later.